Girl, you the best, and she love me when I'm in it, and she never be pretending, nothing that's real. She gon' tell you what she bought it, cause she know you can't afford it. Know you can get it, looking exquisite, no competition, stay on the pivot. They be watching, they be plotting.
Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome to the E-Spot. I'm your host, Camille, and I am so excited for you guys to meet my good friend and movie producer, filmmaker, I was about to get all tongue-tied because it's Friday. Documentary filmmaker, Christopher Everett, who is the creator, the man behind the films Wilmington on Fire 1 and 2, which is getting ready to drop hopefully soon. So I'm so excited to have you here today. Thank you so much for being my guest. How's everything going?
It's going well. It's going well. Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I must say I watched Wilmington on Fire again because I knew I was getting ready to have you on. And I mean, it's just heartbreaking, everything that happened in Wilmington and so on. So how did you first hear about... Let me back up. How did you first get into filmmaking?
Well, I kind of got into it, I would say years ago. I kind of got into it more behind, in front of the camera, actually. I was doing some acting work back in the day, back when I was all in shape. I'm trying to get back to that, but I started doing, film stuff, doing acting and modeling in a lot of independent films and commercials. And I made the move to Atlanta. I felt like I wanted to try to take my career to the next level. And Atlanta was just up and coming at the time. And I said, why not? Let me try it out. Things didn't work out. And I decided to, start my own, film company and try to start telling the stories that I've always wanted to tell, whether they were documentaries, features, shorts, narrative. And that's how I kind of got into it, and just a lot of trial and error, learning, while creating, so to speak. And just doing a lot of free internships for a lot of folks as well. That's how I kind of got started with this whole thing.
Okay. Now, what kind of internships did you start with? Like, were you shadowing with the idea of wanting to become a director, producer? It just was just kind of filling out where you felt.
Yeah, just trying to figure out.
Okay.
Yeah, just trying to figure out, where my skill set was. You know what I'm saying? Because I was coming from in front of the camera. So I didn't know whether I wanted to write, direct, produce, edit, be a cinematographer. I didn't know. So I just wanted to kind of learn a lot about the different aspects of putting a great project together. So I would just, shadow like film students, people that I know that wouldn't mind me being on set and just shadowing them and working for free. I wasn't able to get into celebrity's face or nothing like that, or a well-known film person. So it was just like a lot of like other independent filmmakers. That's who I kind of shadowed and kind of learned under and studied under.
Well, there's been so much stuff going on this week with all the different things that's going on with like George Lucas, the police, and just a lot of protests and different things. And
Right.
I just felt like your movie was so timely with everything that's going on, because you have a few films actually that would be so timely to talk about, even with the active protest. But like,
Yeah.
it's just the irony of when I booked you, I had no idea this week was going to have all of this turmoil going on. And you did so much studying with prepping for Wilmington on Fire, and I'm sure for active protests as well.
Yeah.
And I'm curious what your thoughts are about everything that's going on, especially being a Black man. Like, how are you feeling going through all of this? As much as I want to talk entertainment, the thing is, you can't really be a good entertainer if you don't have your own emotions, your own investment, your own life to live. And so I'm sure this is a heavy time for you, as it is for everyone that's American right now.
Oh, yes. It's crazy right now. Because even myself, I had a cousin that actually died in the hands of the police in 2007. And in Newport News, Virginia, he was killed by a cop. And, we protested, we marched and everything. Yeah. And the cop ended up getting off, and he actually got a promotion a few years later. So I'm very familiar, with this type of
I'm
with this
so
type
sorry.
of thing.
I had no idea.
Yeah. And I've experienced, run-ins with the police as well. I think my first run-in with the police was when I was 13 years old, and just jogging in my neighborhood, because I was playing a lot of sports as a kid, and always wanted to try to stay in, tip-top shape. And so I'm just jogging in my neighborhood, and out of nowhere, 2 cop cars just come out of nowhere and just harass me. Kept me there for a couple hours, asking me different questions, calling other cops, and I'm just 13, a kid. So that was kind of like my first taste of what this whole, system is all about.
Oh, that's
Young age.
heartbreaking. How did
And
your parents
yeah, so a
react to
lot of
that?
this, it was just they just didn't know, what to do. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? And I just kind of just brushed it off, but you never forget those type of things. And
Absolutely not.
yeah, so it's like what I'm seeing now. I'm glad that a lot of folks are really standing up, about this topic and this issue, and I think we all need to rally behind that.
Yeah. What did you think? I mean, just from all of the different things that you've been studying and even firsthand experience with it with your cousin as well as your run-ins with the police,
Yeah,
what do you think moving forward needs to be done? Because I feel like even with, if it's not even like with policy, because obviously we need to vote, we need to get involved on a local level, but I
right,
feel like Hollywood has for so long tried to change the narrative, and this is an opportunity to change the narrative again, or even
right,
put a spotlight on things that really matter, with hopes of actually changing America to be the melting pot that
right,
and the pursuit of happiness for everyone. what
right.
what do you think about that? What are your thoughts?
I definitely think it's Hollywood, the whole entertainment industry. I think needs to be on alert and wanting to do something because in the entertainment industry, we create the culture. We create the whole culture of what society is. Artists are the key really to this whole thing, and it needs to be on every front, whether it's artists, musicians, actors, directors, writers. We all need to come on one accord and really create the culture and the climate for change, and we can do that through our artwork. And I think everything else, will really take care of itself. But I think that's the entertainment industry's responsibility. That's what I'm trying to do, even just on a small local level, with my own film company, and also trying to distribute other works, really highlight these issues as well.
Now let's talk about some of these other works that you have in that you're working on and some that are already in the can.
Mhm.
Can you share with us what you're working on currently, or
Yeah.
because we're running out of Netflix, or excuse me, Rootflix as well, and the new, you just told me the street. I don't want to butcher it because I'm really bad at pronouncing
Oh yeah,
people.
Quelle
Sometimes
TV. Yeah.
Quelle, there we go.
Yeah.
So can you share with us some of the different projects you're working on and where
Yeah.
we can watch them?
Cool. Well, right now you can watch Wilmington on Fire. You can watch that right now, streaming on Vimeo on demand, and also Quelle TV. Quelle TV is a Black-owned streaming service as well. They've been around for about 4 years. Great streaming service. They have a plethora of films on there, documentaries, features, shorts, the whole nine. Quality content. You know what I'm saying, across the diaspora. So they have stuff from Africa, the Caribbean, here in the United States, Canada, all over. Black films, quality content. So definitely check them out. So you can go to WilmingtonOnFire.com and check out both of those right there. And also purchase the DVD if you're still a DVD person. We have those too. Because I am. I'm a
Oh, okay, good. Because I was like,
person.
that hurt. I could feel it. I could feel it. Are you trying to talk about me?
Well, some people, yeah, some people don't do it, but I do.
Yeah.
I like having,
Me too. Whenever I get
actual
that's the main reason. Well, not the no. That's the main reason I pay my SAG dues, is to get get all the movies so I can watch them over and over again. I just
right.
reinstalled my DVD slash VHS player because I found some old videotapes.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I wonder if they still work. So
yeah.
I'm right there with you.
But yeah,
like
so
DVDs.
so we got that. We got Wilmington on Fire, still doing its thing. We actually got a screening coming up June 25th, and we're going to do a virtual screening of Wilmington on Fire.
Where can people do that? Where is that going to be? So
just go to, we haven't launched it yet, but the website is blkdocs.com. So blackdocs.com.
Oh, I just followed that on Instagram.
Yeah. So that's us. So we're going to have the actual site up like next week, but that's the domain. So we're going to have the site up there with the film, but we're not going to launch it so you can't watch it until the 25th. But we have the info
Okay.
up there where you can get tickets and everything. And also we're gonna debut the first trailer for Wilmington on Fire Chapter 2 as well. That's in the works. We've been filming that for about a year now. And we're going to start production with that again, I would say about August, September. Really depends on the COVID-19 and how that's looking, because first and foremost, we want the crew and the subjects to be safe and to be healthy. That's my first, always is that. So hopefully in August, September, we can get back to that. Also filming Grandmaster. It's a martial arts documentary as well about Grandmaster Vic Moore, a martial arts pioneer from the 60s. And we're about 80% done with that. We should be done with that by the end of the year. And we should be starting again filming that in August, September. It really depends on COVID. Okay. So we have to look out for his, health as well. Because he's getting up there in age. He's 77, and so we have to really be precautious with that. And also we have a film called As an Act of Protest, which we're actually going to finally be releasing next month, the end of next month, July. Finally, and we plan on doing an actual online screening. Okay. Probably the beginning that weekend of July, probably that 4th of July weekend or the weekend after. But people can go to spellerstreet.com and we'll have all that stuff up there, and people can register for email updates or text updates on that site as well. But As an Act of Protest is a very timely film. We got the rights to it a couple of years ago, and we've done screenings, throughout North Carolina and New York. But the film is about an actor, Cairo Medina. It's a narrative film. And this actor pretty much goes through this journey of the cross type of mission of being an actor, being a theater actor, and wanting to change society and his community through his plays, him and his friend, who actually is the theater director. And he sees that it's not going to happen because his brother was killed like a few years prior to him becoming a full-time actor. And he thinks that acting can really liberate, African-American people and change society for the better and have an end to racism. But he sees that it's not working. And so at the end of the film, he actually takes it in his own hands and kills the mayor's son and gets away with it. And so the message of the film is that until America really deals with this disease of racism called racism, there's going to be people like that character Cairo happen again and again until America really comes to terms with ending racism. And that film really caught a lot of, grief when he first tried to come out with it in 2001. It actually got banned. Oh, wow. In New York, because right when he tried to release it, 2 weeks later, 9/11 happened. And New York wasn't trying to have that type of message out there in the society at that time. So the film kind of, went on the festival circuit, did pretty well, but then just died off. And it kind of resurfaced back in 2014, 2015, when you saw an uptick of police brutality cases starting to happen with Mike Brown, Trayvon Martin. And a lot of people remembered that film and wanted to do screenings, and that kind of gave it new life. And so I know I'm good friends with the director. I said, man, you see what I'm doing with Wilmington on Fire. I'm trying to start Speller Street Films and also to do distribution. I would love to do something with this project because I think it's very timely and people need to see it. And there's a lot of good messages with it. And he was down with it. And like I said, that was 2 years ago. And you see what's going on right now. The same thing again.
It feels like a never-ending cycle almost.
Exactly. So I said,
exactly.
So I said, man, let's go ahead and get it out. I've been very patient with releasing it because actually we had a couple of screenings coming up overseas, but they got canceled because of COVID-19. Actually, the film got accepted into two cinema archives, one in Paris and one in Cuba. And we're going to do 2 big screenings there and then release the film. But since those screenings didn't happen, we're going to actually just do it, next month and do some free online events, some free panel events with some of the cast and crew and the director, and then put it out for digital and limited edition DVD.
Okay, don't forget to send me those links so I can promote it because I love free.com. No, I'm kidding. I love watching your films. I love watching your films.
And we got another joint that stars. It's in development. We're still doing fundraising and getting finance together, but it's a feature film called I Don't Live Today, and it's a narrative as well that we're going to shoot in New York. and it's about a struggling a black abstract artist in New York, his last night in New York City, and him kind of coming to terms with his own demons that he's kind of kept at bay for so long. And we have Orlando Jones. He's going to do the voiceover for
Whoa,
it.
whoa, whoa!
So,
My Orlando Jones?
we're working with Orlando. We're doing something out here.
I noticed you and I won't say your name on, but yeah, I noticed that we had some mutual friends also. I was like, wait, I wonder how they know each other.
Yeah, we do business. We do business together.
I'm so glad.
He's gonna bless us
He's gonna
with
put some Mr. Nancy on it.
Oh yeah. So I'm very
I
excited.
can't wait.
Very
That's
excited.
gonna be amazing, Christopher.
Yeah. So
I can't believe you're now telling me this. Oh my God,
we work on so much. We work on.
I'm just so proud.
We got so much going on. We got that, and also the one brother that's the the one brother that's the star, Shinaza Uche. He people want to see his work. He's a phenomenal actor. He's in this film called Nigerian Prince on Amazon. You can watch it on Amazon. Okay. And he's going to be the lead character of Robeson in the film. So we're very excited. We got a hell of a cast. We're just still getting some last minute financing together, and hopefully next year we can start filming. And so I'll definitely keep you up to date with that once we get the financing aspect straight with it. But I'm very excited about that project. It's a narrative film, and I can't wait. It's a great story, great cast, so I can't wait.
Since you brought up fundraising a few times, and I feel a lot of people, much like myself, don't really know how to do that, how to go about getting funding or finding ways to raise money for making films. And for maybe some of the people who are out there who are interested in either making their own documentary or even a narrative film, what advice would you give them as far as making that happen, finding the funds?
It's tough. Like, I know
because it's not your friends.
No, it's not. But the thing is with me is that even with, you're going to have to get through your first film on your own. I'm telling you that now. And no one told me that. I had to learn the hard way. And I wish someone would have told me that going into it. But you have to get your first film out the way first. Wilmington on Fire, I pretty much did that myself through crowdfunding. Crowdfunding is a great tool. That's where you can galvanize not only your family and friends, but other people out there in social media that you don't even know that really want to contribute to the type of story you're trying to tell. And it's a great way to build audience and get money at the same time. And that's how we were able to really grow our audience with Wilmington on Fire. And
now,
those
what do you
folks
mean by crowdfunding?
Oh, crowdfunding is pretty much like you have different platforms. You have Seed and Spark, you got Kickstarter, Indiegogo, GoFundMe. But these platforms, they were started, by folks who didn't have access to money, to capital. So they decided, hey, let's create this crowdfunding model of community fundraising, where we got a project, we got a film, we're trying to raise $10,000 to shoot it, and we're going to galvanize our community of followers and supporters and other people who might have an interest in the subject matter, or just like us, they just like our story. And that way you can just reach people and also offer them some type of reward or incentive to your project. Like, say if somebody give you $10, they can get a special shout out on your social media. If somebody give you $20, they can get a copy of the DVD before it's released. You know what I'm saying? So you're giving like people cool incentives and rewards for their contribution, instead of just a straight give me some money to donate. They're actually getting something, for their contribution and donation. So it's a cool model. A lot of films have been funded. I funded quite a few of my films using this model, and I'm gonna continue to do so, because not only is it cool to raise money, but also to raise awareness about your film and also build audience. Because even people with Wilmington on Fire, I still got people that donated to my Kickstarter campaign back in 2012 that still follow the film to this day, and they talk about it. Even they'll come to my screen and say, man, I remember you were fundraising for this thing and I gave you $100, and I'm still supporting you. So people, it's bringing people along with you on that journey that people really kind of gravitate towards projects on when you're doing crowdfunding, because people like to take that journey with you and they like to be a part of your story. And that's what it's all about. But funding, just doing your first project and try to do it for low as possible is the key. And then after you get that first project, the opportunity is going to come to you. Because after I finish Wilmington on Fire, people started reaching out to me. People that came to my screenings actually wanted to invest in my other projects, because they'll say, hey,
Oh, that's fantastic.
yeah, because you never know who's coming to your screening.
That's
People
true.
with money don't wear, a badge around, their neck saying I got money. So
But
you never know.
I'll take my money.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, you never know who's coming to your screenings. I know one guy, he became an investor in some of our projects. He came to the couple of screenings, and I didn't know who he was, but he was this tech guy, had a whole bunch of money, and he said, "Man, your film Wilmington on Fire really changed my life, and it made me really see that I could be doing a little bit more." And I see what people are really going through now after watching your film. And I heard you talk about you want to do a part 2 to this thing. I want to give you some money to get it going. So so that's how it happens sometimes. And people want to, they want to say, "Hey, Chris, I hear you doing part 2. I have a venue. Let's do a fundraiser." I'm saying? You can use my venue for free. We'll help promote it, and all the proceeds will go towards, you filming your Grandmaster project or Wilmington on Fire 2. We get those type of offers all the time. And so, like I said, do a quality project and also get out there with it and let people know who you are and know your story and where you're trying to go. The money's going to come. The money is going to come, but you also have your standard traditional routes such as grants. I'm finally doing that now too. I really hate doing grants. I've actually got to do one tonight.
300 pages.
Yeah,
Is it? Yeah.
I got to do one. I got one that's due Sunday, so I got to finish one up tonight. And I hate them, but
May the
they're
force
still
be
a
with
good.
you.
Right. And a lot of times after you finish your first film, getting a grant is easier too. I couldn't get any grants for Wilmington on Fire at all. But people are starting to come around now this time around because they saw that what the first one did. They see its audience there. And they see that I'm gonna actually do what I'm going to do with my money, with the money I get. And that's another thing. You have to build a trust. Now people have to build a trust with you first and foremost, because they just don't want to just give anybody money and they just don't do what they say they're going to do with it. You gotta put yourself in their shoes too. Like, are you going to give me $10,000? Without some hesitation?
Yeah, no.
See what I'm saying? So yeah. So
I was going to bring up, I had a movie producer director on here, Maya Table, and she was telling me how she gave money to Hair Love and just got an EP credit for it.
right.
So sometimes it's just getting an IMDb
Oh, yeah.
credit.
And those are the incentives. Those are the incentives
She
that
did
you
that
can
for
get.
Hair Love.
Yeah, Matthew Cherry's joint. Yeah, because he had a Kickstarter doing that, and you can do all type of incentives like executive producer credit, VIP. When we do the premiere, you can have those type of incentives, autograph. We're doing a thing. We're going to do a crowdfunding campaign soon for Grandmaster. We're going to do that probably next month, end of next month, and we're going to do things like you get a certain incentive. You get to do an online class with Grandmaster Vic Moore, one of the greatest martial artists of all time. If you want to do a class, you're going to be able to do it with him for a certain level. And also some autograph pictures signed by him, all type of cool things, different autograph memorabilia things and, copies of the film, all that type of cool stuff that you can get, doing crowdfunding. And it really all depends on the things you want to give, to your audience as well, to make it an experience.
Right. Oh, that's fantastic. Now, so you did the crowdfunding to get Wilmington on Fire. Well, you didn't. You had to do it all
Did both.
pretty much on yourself with Wilmington on Fire.
It was a little bit of both. It was like, when I first did it, I was in a very peculiar situation. When I first started, I got laid off from my job one. So I had to make a decision. I was like, man, I had just got the idea down to do it. And I was living in Atlanta during the time. And I said, you know what, this film is based in North Carolina. I'm gonna have to go to North Carolina a lot. Forget it. I'm gonna give them my apartment and move back to North Carolina, move with my grandparents. So I made a decision just to sacrifice and use my unemployment money and use my savings that I had. And we got the ball rolling. And as soon as I did that, I was able to get other people involved with the film that kind of helped me in the process and gave the project some validity as well. And we did a small crowdfunding campaign and raised about $3,000. And that helped us finish shooting everything we needed, all the footage. But then, what people don't tell you need money for post-production as well. But this was my first film. Right, I was like, oh man, I need money to edit this thing. And I didn't know all the stuff that went in, like editing, coloring, sound mixing, the score, deliverables, all that stuff, the closed captioning. You got to get the stuff transcribed for closed captions. I didn't know that, so I had to do all this stuff. I just didn't have the money. And then out the blue, you never know who's really watching you either.
Oh, right. I love this story. I just remember.
Yeah, you never know who's watching. So out the blue, an NBA player hits me up. David West, he's retired now. People might have known him from the Golden State Warriors, from their last 2 championships. He was on that team, and he's a retired NBA player now, but he was actually following the film, and he reached out to me to get a DVD. And I said, man, the film's not done yet, but when it's done, I'll let you know, and I'll send you a copy, on the house. And he said, well, how much do you need to get this thing done? And I said, well, I need X amount. He said, well, let's talk about it. And so, it was back and forth with me and his business manager. And then I met him when they came to Charlotte to play the Charlotte team. They got me a good ticket to see the Hornets, nice seats. Yeah. And so I saw the game, and then that was my first time even going to a professional game.
Hey, I just went this past winter. My girlfriend took me for my birthday. So.
Yeah. So that was cool, doing that. And, I'm nervous. I'm all nervous and everything. I'm like, oh, man, wow. I can't mess this up. This is
right.
Opportunity. I just don't say nothing stupid. Don't mess this up. Just be cool. And, so I did it. And he loved my ideas. He loved what I was trying to do. And he said, man, I'm going to give you this and let's do a partnership together. And that's what we did. And the rest is history.
Before we move on, I just want to make sure, because there was a question.
Yeah.
Where will Grandmaster be filmed? Rondo was asking.
Oh, it's a documentary. It's we're still filming. And let me put the
what location?
Can't put it in there.
It's in North. Oh, you can tell me.
North Carolina.
Okay.
We got a Facebook page up. It's GM Documentary. You can just look that up on Facebook, like facebook.com/GM Documentary. And we got the trailer, behind the scenes stills. They can check it out. But it's filmed mostly in North Carolina. He's based in North Carolina, but he's originally from Cincinnati, Ohio. But we've been filming most of it here in North Carolina. We're actually going to go to Cincinnati in September to film a couple of his old former students, and they're going to show us where the old dojo used to be at back in the day, where he used to teach up there, and some of the stuff. So they got some old photos, old video from back in the day, because he's from the old school of karate, where you just didn't give anybody a black belt or any belt. You really had to earn it. And that's what we're going to touch on in this film, is that a lot of people, think that, karate is just this easy thing. It kind of blew up with the whole Bruce Lee. I call it the Bruce Lee effect. When Bruce Lee came on the scene, he really made it popular, martial arts. And then you saw this explosion of people, just anybody open up a karate school or martial arts school. But actually, it watered down martial arts because people really wasn't teaching it the right way. And so you start seeing a lot of people that are black belts. They really shouldn't even be a black belt. They should be like a white or a yellow, honestly. And people come to him around the country to get their certification to make sure that they're really legit. And he could tell just off how you breathe, how you punch a certain way, how you stand, that you're not really ready to be a black belt. And we really want to show that, because like back then, there wasn't no money in doing martial arts. You really, shed some blood and some other things to get your black belt back in those days. So they were very strict. And so we're going to talk to some of his old students that were from that old school era about that toughness and strictness that you had to do to go through a Grandmaster Vic Moore training session.
Oh, that's awesome. Now, let's get back to Wilmington on Fire. I want to show the trailer real quick. So okay. I'm going to disappear. So you're the big picture in here. Right.
They say the Cape Fear River was full of bloody black bodies that day, that black people couldn't find their way, that black men died from gunshots in their backs, that black women ran to the swamps across the tracks, that very smart and bold black men were put on the train and given a free ride out of town where they were told to remain. They say that the dead bodies were left in the streets. The foul smell was so strong that buzzards circled for weeks, that black babies cried and moaned for their fathers and a bite to eat, that black folks lost all their savings and were left helpless and beat. It had to be done, said the white people who started it. They loved their town until the blacks tried to change it. They took over the city to restore their heritage, they said. They were heroes to many who wanted uppity folks dead. Some folks still don't see anything wrong with what they did, or that any harm was done to the ones who ran and hid. Serious damage was done to the soul of the town. That's why folks want to turn it around. Now is the time to make up for the crime, to help our children learn from our mistake, to ensure that there will be no more 1898.
That was a good one. Now, I'm blanking on his name, the guy that was doing the poetry just now. How did
Oh, Larry Thomas.
Larry Thomas, thank you. How did you guys come about? Like, how did you meet all the different people that are involved in Wilmington on Fire?
Well, I met Larry. Larry Thomas was the first person I actually reached out to when I wanted to put this project together. He's known around Wilmington as Mr. 1898. You know what I'm saying? He's the man you go to because he's been on this stuff for years about the 1898 massacre and stuff like that for years, even before it became kind of, well known and popularized. So I was on Google when I first started putting this project together and figuring out who I wanted to have in it. I just went on Google and typed in the Wilmington Massacre, and his name came up. Saw that he had a couple of clips on YouTube, and I reached out to him, emailed him, said, "Hey, this is what I'm doing. I would love for you to be involved. Let's link up. Let's talk. Let's chat. I'd love to pick your brain." And he was down with it, and we've been rocking with each other ever since. And he's also in another great film. If people want to check it out, it's on Netflix now. It's called I Called Him Morgan, and it's about it's like a murder mystery documentary. It's about Helen Morgan, who was married to late jazz legend Lee Morgan. He was a jazz trumpeter, and she actually killed him as well. So it's like a murder mystery documentary. And how Larry got involved with the film, he actually interviewed Helen Morgan years ago, right before she died. And they actually, in the documentary, they used Larry's audio recording to kind of narrate the whole film. And it's very cool because you hear this whole story being narrated by her in her voice, even though she's dead. And how they put it together is real cool. So they also feature Larry in the film as well, about when he met her and when he, sat down and interviewed her as well. So it's a great film. Check it out. And yeah, Larry's in that one. Because I remember when they were filming that, we were actually filming Wilmington on Fire at the same time. Because I would film him, and then he would say, "Man, next week I got these guys coming from Sweden. They're filming for this jazz documentary." And so I remember when he was actually filming that, we were actually doing both at the same time. So it's a great film. People want to check that out.
Now, what was Larry's connection to 1898? Was he a descendant of it, or just a historian that just loves Wilmington history? Or
he's originally from Wilmington, born and raised, and and he's always been an activist and a historian as well. So he's always heard the stories of the 1898 massacre and also just growing up in Wilmington during that time, especially during the Civil Rights Movement. He was head on in it, and so he saw the racism and the stuff in Wilmington during that time, and he always wanted to know, well, how did Wilmington become this way? And so he started doing his own research and found out about 1898. And so when he went to college, he wrote his thesis paper about that, about the 1898 massacre and the Wilmington 10 as well, and just the history of racism in Wilmington and the whole racial aspect in Wilmington. So he actually wrote that as a thesis and then just came out with his thesis paper that he did in college and turned it into a book. And, he sells it, right now as well, if people want to get a copy of it.
Yeah. What's the name of the book? I'll put it in the
The book is called The True Story Behind the Wilmington 10.
Sorry, I'm not as fast when I'm trying to spell correctly.
That's cool.
Okay, The True Story Behind the Wilmington 10. Okay. By Larry Thomas, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Larry Thomas.
Yeah. Larry is going to be he's heavily featured in part 2 to Wilmington on Fire.
Okay.
And we're actually doing it, how we're doing the next 2 installments. We're filming chapter 2 and chapter 3 at the same time.
Okay.
Chapter 2 is the trailer that will be debuting next month when we show Wilmington on Fire online. But Wilmington on Fire chapter 2 is going to deal with the whole thing of reparations. The reason why I'm doing it on that specifically for chapter 2 is because reparations has been a big topic in discussion since like last year. And luckily last year, they had a congressional hearing on reparations in Washington, D.C. And they had a whole bunch of big folks there, Danny Glover, Ta-Nehisi Coates, also Dr. Julianne Malveaux spoke as well. And she actually gave us a shout out. She told people to watch Wilmington on Fire, and you can go to
remember you posting that.
Yeah, so she's going to be in part 2 as well. We're going to film her in a few months. So it's going to be, the film is really going to center around Larry mostly, because he has been one of the only ones that has been fighting this crusade of compensation and reparations for the Black community in Wilmington. So we're going to follow his journey and the stuff he's been doing even more. And also we're going to have people like Dr. Malveaux giving her insight. Also Professor William Darity, who currently has a book out right now about reparations. He was in the first Wilmington on Fire. He's going to come back for the second go around. And we're also going to have Dr. Lewin Manley, who was in the first one as well. He's a direct descendant of Alex Manley. Alex Manley was the Black newspaper editor whose newspaper building was burned down during the massacre. And if anybody see any pictures about the 1898 massacre, you always see these white guys standing in front of a burnt down building. That was his grandfather's newspaper press that was burned down. So he's going to come back for part 2 as well. And we're going to talk about his fight for reparations as well for the community, and him going around using the film to help educate folks. He was already doing that, but now he has a visual to show people now with the film and show what his grandfather lost, and also just the Black community as a whole in Wilmington as well. And chapter 3 is going to be Wilmington today and people in Wilmington today who are doing the groundwork of trying to make that change to really make Wilmington an equal place and that unified place like it was prior to 1898. So we're going to have several folks in Wilmington today to do that. Yeah, that's an article. That's the building right there. That was his grandfather's newspaper building right there.
Just a shame. Thinking about how it was a community that was prospering and they were able to live. There was Black and whites living together, and like even in the movie, it was just talking about how there would be a Black business next to a white business, and a Black, and they all were getting along, and just one little thing, and everything's gone.
Yep.
I won't spoil it because you should see the movie. It's definitely one of those you need to see the movie.
WilmingtonOnFire.com. Like I said, chapter 2 is going to be great. It's going to be crazy. 2 is going to be great. 3 is going to be great because we're doing both at the same time. And then right after that, we're going to do a spinoff. I'm keeping that on the wraps, but it's a spinoff from the whole Wilmington story. But it ties in with it, but it's a totally different story in itself. And then I'm going to be done with documentaries for a while.
You're like, enough is enough with the history. I'm going to move the story forward. I just have one more question about Wilmington on Fire, because when I was watching it again, I noticed something that was kind of creepy and scary, and want to know if you've heard anything new about it. I don't remember his name, and I meant to bring it down with me because I'm bad with names, but he was talking about at the library in Wilmington, he would hear his family, whoever, talking very horribly, but there was like a secret Democrat group that still exists, apparently, that's involved behind the scenes politically, and it's still legal. It's still on the paperwork here in North Carolina. And I was curious if there's any new information about that, if that still does really exist. Has there been anything else more about it?
Oh, well, yeah, and we're gonna touch on it in part 2 as well with Ken Chatfield, who's in the film. We've already filmed all his stuff.
Ken Chatfield, that's
we've already filmed all his stuff, so his stuff is locked and loaded. We just got to finish.
Great storyteller too.
Yeah. He so we got his stuff already, and it's going to be great information. And we're going to dive more into that because a lot of people don't realize that he's talking about the white government union And a lot of people don't realize that, the white government union was kind of like that political arm that kind of ushered in a lot of this white supremacy movement back then. But also, people don't realize that a lot of people that were involved in the white government union and also that Democratic Party back then, and also this white supremacy movement back then, a lot of them, after the massacre, a lot of them got involved in creating what is now called the North Carolina Bar Association. Was created like a year after the 1898 massacre by some of the same people that did the massacre, actually. George Roundtree was one of those guys who was one of the founders of the Bar Association. He was one of the main people behind the 1898 massacre. And so when people want to know why our laws, especially in North Carolina,
are antiquated.
Yeah, because it ties rightly into what happened with 1898. And the same people who started the North Carolina Bar Association, lawyers, and, they used the law to solidify a lot of this stuff. It was those folks. They're the people that started the whole North Carolina Bar Association to begin with, a year after the massacre. So that's where really the white government union is pretty much kind of, it exists within that system. This thing is a system. Mm-hmm. And they built this system, after they did the 1898 massacre. They built this system, especially in North Carolina, of using the law and to their advantage, and and just pretty much Xing out, African American progress, and still to this day. And we have to change a lot of this stuff because a lot of times they don't know where this stuff originated from. It originated, especially here in North Carolina, originated really from that event, with this whole problem we have, especially here in North Carolina. And so until we change that and come to terms with that, it's not going to change.
Are there any is there any legislation or anything that you guys are in the works with trying to get that changed, or even drawing more attention to it?
Yeah, we've been, and hopefully, the second film can push that a little bit more, because that's another thing that we have in the second part, because a lot of people don't know that they tried to push some bills back in 2006, and we're going to highlight that in part two. Okay. Is that, the NAACP and other folks really tried to push legislation behind the 1898 massacre and the effects of it, because, they did this big report, the state of North Carolina did a race riot report, and we actually have the lady who wrote the report in the first film, Larae Umfleet. Okay. And what they did when they wrote the report and saw all this stuff that happened that a lot of people didn't know about that actually happened, and how it led to all this inequality in North Carolina because of it, they decided to come up with a series of bills, recommendations to go to the House and stuff like that in the General Assembly. None of stuff got passed. One of the things was to give a production company $500,000 to do what I did, a film. That never passed. They could just give that money to me, but so we can do these. Because we got two films coming out. Yeah, we already did the first one ourselves.
Right.
The 500,000, we'll do like 4 more. Mm-hmm. But so that's one thing they tried to do. It didn't pass. Another thing was they wanted to implement the education about 1898 into the school curriculum, K through 12. That didn't happen. Mm-hmm. They also wanted to create like a traveling exhibit, like a multimedia exhibit, whether it's art, artifacts, old photos, like a traveling education exhibit to go around North Carolina to educate folks about this. That didn't happen. They tried to do like some type of reparations bill that would actually give reparations to direct descendants like Dr. Manley and others who can show what their actual grandparents or great grandparents lost during the massacre. That didn't happen. They also tried to do two black business districts in the black areas of Wilmington, the 4th Street area and also the Castle Street area. They wanted to turn these two areas into 2 black business incubators to try to galvanize and try to bring back, black entrepreneurship back to the city. That didn't happen either. It just gentrification happened. And so none of these things passed through. And I have the bills, at my house printed out, and anybody can look them up. They're from like 2007 to 2008. Okay. And so we're going to dive into those bills in part 2 and talk about those things, a lot. And so, people just need to know that and really say, hey, talk to their legislature, say, hey, can you guys bring these bills back? So it's going to take an effort. I think the time is now, since, we're in the activist mode right now, and Absolutely. People want to galvanize. So, I plan on trying to try to start pushing more of that out, here, on social media and other networks as well. But we're trying to work with some lawmakers to really start pushing some things again with that.
Well, you got to let us know who you're getting pushback from so we know
Yeah.
who not to vote for. Because even on the Democratic side, it's not always so red and blue sometimes.
Another thing I want to mention too is that,
Yeah.
when none of these bills got passed through, a lot of people probably said, well, that's the Republicans. It wasn't. We had a majority Democratic legislature and everything, and governor back then. So it was the Democratic Party that wouldn't even pass it to even be in the school curriculum.
See?
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and that's another thing with this film is that even though it was the Democratic Party back then that did the massacre, because it was two totally different parties,
Right.
but both parties have been pretty much the same towards African Americans. Never really had our best interests at heart. Always left us in a time of when we needed them the most, as well. And so I always say that we have to really be strong, independent voters. We have to play both sides and then go to both sides and say, hey, what are you going to do for us? And if you're not going to do something that we particularly need, we're not going to vote for you. And we can't really play the Democratic and Republican game, because that's never really worked for us. And 1898 is a prime example, because we were Republicans. The Democrats did the massacre, and then after the massacre is over with, we go into the Republican Party for help. And hey, can y'all do something about this? And they left us high and dry.
Well, hopefully a lot has changed even from 2006 to now. I have a lot more faith in our governor now and a lot of the different politicians that we have now that are Democrats, but I don't know the Wilmington area, because right now they got that UNC Wilmington professor who's acting a complete fool on Twitter and Facebook, and they're not doing anything about that. So
yeah,
I don't have a lot of hope right now for Wilmington. I know we stopped going to Wilmington for a vacation after we saw Wilmington on fire.
But now Wilmington is, I don't want to talk bad about it.
No, not because of that. It was just like, oh.
But the thing is now, Wilmington
just felt
Wilmington is like a.
Yeah. I guess that's a lot of places though, but yeah.
I understand, but Wilmington is like, it's like a second home to me.
Okay.
But also, I just got engaged as well. My girlfriend.
Congratulations!
You might have saw the post.
No, I didn't.
She flashed the ring up. She tagged. We got the post up there on my
COVID
Facebook.
married or COVID engaged?
Yeah, Friday night. Yeah.
So wait, okay. So on a happier note, I guess, tell us a little bit about the proposal.
It was dope. Yeah, it was a surprise. I was like, nothing's open. So, nothing's open right now. And I'm like, man, I don't know when stuff is going to be open again to do anything cool. I haven't had a haircut in like 3 months because the barbershop's been closed. You know what I'm saying?
No, I noticed you had hair. I was like, oh, so it's a choice.
No, it's not. So it's like, so I was like, man, I'm going to do it. So I've had the ring for a couple of weeks. I just so nervous, when I did it. And, I just told her to come in, told her I love her. And I had something for her. I pulled out the ring box and she thought I was playing. She was like, don't play with me. I was like, what are you talking about? And so I opened it up, opened the ring, got on one knee, and, and
oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
That's exciting.
Thank you. But what I was saying in Wilmington, Wilmington is like a second home. And I've seen a lot of change ever since the film has came out specifically.
Oh, good.
And a lot of people have said that. Saying that, man, your film has really changed a lot in Wilmington for the better. And a lot of people, they come to Wilmington or they see the film and want to come to Wilmington and check out some of the places we talk about, right. And just, go, on the African-American cultural tour as well. Because everybody always hit me up.
Wait, back up. There's an African-American cultural tour?
Yeah. A lady by the name of Isla Speller. I'll send you her info.
Okay.
And usually when people hit me up all the time. Because they'll see the film and say, man, I want to go check out Wilmington. After seeing your film, do they have a tour there? And I say, yeah, it's a lady. She has a tour. Here's her info. Check her out. She's gotten a lot of business over the past 4 years. Just us, promoting her and also in conjunction with the film. Because people see the film and they want to see what it's all about and just see, what was there and just, see what Wilmington is like today. And it makes you look at Wilmington in a different light once you see the film. But there's a positive because there are people doing some great things. Like I said, I love going there. I love spending time there. Met some great people over the past 8 years of just filming and promoting the film. as well. So Wilmington will always have a deep place in my heart, and I see it changing. It was a whole lot worse, but I see it actually changing for the better. Over the past 5 years, I'm seeing a lot of change, and it's a process, but it's getting there.
Well, they also don't have dog-friendly hotels because their beaches are
Yeah,
dog-friendly, so that's another reason. It's not just, I mean, full disclosure, we can't take our dog there, so and my 11-year-old would not want to go on vacation without it. Okay. I think I found, did you say there's African American Heritage Museum of Wilmington, or is
no,
that
hold on. Let me pull it up.
okay?
Hold up. Let
Because
me
I
get
was
you.
trying to pull it up so I could put it in the comments so people could
Hold on.
check it out.
I got you. Hold up.
Okay. It's like I got men. I only saw men's names, so I was like, I don't think that's it.
I got you right here. Hold up.
We
Heritage tour.
did in Charleston, South Carolina. We did the Porgy and Bess tour, and it was
Yeah,
so informative. I was just hearing about all the different things that our ancestors had to go through, and
right,
even the things we did to each other with like the paper bag test, with even going what church you could go to or where you could be buried based on that as well. It's just
right,
it's a lot. Like there's a lot of things for a long time that we've done to each other as well as that has been done to us
right.
to keep us separated, and also just I don't know, there's this video that's been going around. I even posted on my Facebook where this woman is trying to explain what's it like being Black in America. It's like playing Monopoly, and for 400
Right,
years or 400
right,
turns, you're working, but you can't buy anything. You can't get any
right,
money. You can't do any
right,
of those things. You can't own anything, and you're doing all the
right,
work. And then the
right,
next 50 rounds, you can't live but in certain places, you can't vote, you can't do this, you can't do that. And then like now we're at a place where you can maybe kind of buy places, but we're going to charge you more interest. We're going
right.
to make it where you're not getting equal pay, and
Yep.
just so many different things that to factor into. And then you put in the fact that even within our community we're doing things to each other, and or even like just other groups of I hate saying word minorities, but other um, people of color that are just, instead of us all as Americans like coming together and helping each other. And I was watching Rosewood again too, because my
Yeah,
father had worked on that, and I didn't realize, like, the first time I saw it, I probably didn't read this part, or
right.
didn't click, but there they did get reparations, like they
Yeah, they
did
did. I
money
think it was
to,
during the Clinton administration. They got some
right.
form of reparation. Yeah,
Exactly. And
yeah,
so to hear that Wilmington hasn't done that yet, I feel like that's something that we definitely need to make sure moving forward. Not just Wilmington, but even the different places within North Carolina that they
oh yeah,
definitely,
across the board.
there's
I
been,
know.
yeah, because we built Duke. And
Yeah, yeah. Because see, I know that's one of the reasons why we want to do part two to Wilmington on Fire is we want to kind of show how reparations can be done for Wilmington, but also use that model for reparations for Black folks across America. Because you know, Jim Crow, slavery, Jim Crow segregation really stifled Black progress and Black wealth tremendously. The last civil rights bill was like what 1968. So it's like, that's not really a long time. Yeah, and depends on what city you was at too, and when your town or city wanted to act right. So you probably didn't fully integrate to like the mid 70s in some places. So that's what we're really dealing with this whole thing of generational wealth that was lost. And Professor Darity, his book is great about it. He has one of the best books. It's called From Here to Equality, and people can get that book now. It's a great book. He's in Wilmington on Fire as well. It's going to be in part two. The book is out now, and if you want to know about why we need reparations and how we can accomplish it, people need to check out that book.
I found it on Barnes and Noble. Hold
Yep.
on, I'm gonna put it in the link. Oops, I don't want to share it. I just want to copy
Yeah.
it.
And people and also if they want to hear him and his wife speak about it, they can go on YouTube and just type in William Darity, and his lectures and interviews will come up. People would just want to hear him the topic as well. People can do that also.
Okay. Duke professor.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm just gonna put that in there as well. Oh my gosh, it's already 6:55. Time goes really fast when you're having fun and learning
Hey,
about history.
yeah, yeah. I thought we were just getting
Classes
started.
like this in high school, I might have made all. No, I did make all A's. But no, this has been great. Well, before we lose all the time that's left, tell everyone where they can keep up with you, where they can find
Yeah.
everything. I'm gonna pull up your Instagram because I feel like that's where you're the most active, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's just because that's where I'm the most active. I'll pull that up so that people can follow you there.
Yeah. Well, people can hit me up spellerstreet.com. People can go to spellerstreet.com, hit me up. Or I actually people can send me a text as well. If you want to put this text message, people can hit me up directly via text. 910
Oh,
218.
Number.
Yeah.
Okay.
9065.
See,
So it's
don't-
910.
You can give out your real phone number.
No, it's not my real phone number.
Oh.
It's this thing I use called the super phone. It goes to my real phone number.
Oh, okay.
But but people can still hit me up directly, and stuff like that. And they got a question about anything. Also, if they want to find out how to get a direct link to some of my stuff, I can send them that too.
Oh, great.
So yeah.
910-218-9065.
Yes, 9065. Yeah,
I
that's
just
it.
remember you had a 910 number. That's why I was like, you're giving out your real number?
Nah, it connects to my real number. You know what I'm saying? But if people call it, it's going to give them like a voicemail of me, just telling them to text me. So, yeah. So if people got any questions after this, or because like I mentor filmmakers all the time as well, because somebody might be out there and say, hey, I got an idea. I want to try this. Can you schedule some time for us to chat on Zoom or something? I'm down. This COVID-19 thing kind of keeps me, I can, share some information, some knowledge with folks, easy.
That's fantastic. Now, you said that this was going to be the end of documentaries, the ones you're doing now. So
Yeah.
moving forward, what would be your dream passion project that you would like to do next, other than the wedding?
Well, it's a couple. It's a couple.
Okay.
There's a couple of joints. Documentaries all have a place in my heart. I'm just taking a break because I want to do some narrative stuff. Really, what I wanted to really become a filmmaker and make films was to do like supernatural horror films, suspense thrillers and things like that, science fiction. So I want to, do something like that. I want to do a couple of those type of projects. We actually got the rights to a couple of cool scripts, some dope scripts. So we want to develop those after we finish up these last few documentaries. So, and I'll definitely be reaching out to you, if you're
I'm like, we're
interested
going
in
to do
doing
a
something.
comedy. I really want to do a comedy.
Well, we got
But I mean,
something.
sci-fi I love too, so
Right.
count me in on that, yeah.
We got some where we're going to shoot. We actually shot it. We shot like a sample piece a couple of months ago, and we were going to pitch it as a TV show. But we said, man, let's go ahead and just do it as a feature. So we're going to do something. We're going to try to do it guerrilla style during COVID in September in New York. This one film. So we're going to do it like, 2 people mostly, one location. And it's called A Saintly Madness. So it's a real dope project. So we're going to do that. But once COVID kind of is over with and we can actually have a real crew and more cast, I'll definitely be reaching out to you. We got a whole bunch of projects that we got.
I might be reaching out to you, Zooming, to learn more about behind the film. I mean, or behind the camera stuff too, because I know we had talked before about doing something, and I didn't have the courage then. But now I'm like, what I got to lose? Might as well try.
Yeah, you just got to do it. Like I didn't know honestly before I did Wilmington on Fire, and even doing Wilmington on Fire, I didn't know what I was doing. All stuff I learned was trial and error and talking to folks that had a little bit more knowledge than me, and also different podcasts out there as well. Great podcasts.
Oh, what's some of the ones you listen to?
Indie Film Hustle. Indie Film Hustle. It's a great one.
Is it with a Y or IE?
IE.
Okay.
Yeah, hold on. indiefilmhustle.com. It's a great resource. Alex Ferrari is the guy who's behind it. Great stuff. And a lot of that stuff is free. He has a book for sale that's pretty cool too. But his whole thing is the stuff that I like to hear about filmmakers becoming independent and entrepreneurial, where, you can make money and thrive off of your films. And that's why I try to really preach that into filmmakers' heads also. So that's why I'm a fan of his stuff, because he's always addressing those topics and those issues of filmmakers taking the control back, into their hands and really start monetizing their own projects.
Well, I know Rhonda just posted, hopefully I can be of assistance to the project you all do. So
Yeah,
reach out to her because she's definitely a mover and a shaker. She makes
cool.
things happen. She's
Yeah,
awesome.
tell
And
her
North Carolina native as
she
well.
can text me. Tell her to text me.
Like I'll give her your real number.
910-218-9065.
You don't want
No,
to
she
read
can send me on
Rhonda.
that.
Just kidding. I don't know. For all I know, that's the number I have. No, I don't know.
Right.
Well, this has been great. It's 7:01. I want to be mindful of your time and so on. And I really appreciate you being my guest again on the E-Spot. I really appreciate it. And I look forward to everything that you're going to be doing in the future. And I just realized I misspelled your name and added an extra E. So sorry about that.
It's cool. It's cool. A lot of people make that mistake. It's cool.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'm not one of the people that just get all upset. I know some people like that. Like, you misspelled my name. I hate you. Don't ever call me. No, it ain't serious. People make mistakes.
So yeah.
People make mistakes, man. It's cool. It's no big deal.
Okay, because I know you're on your way of becoming like the next Jordan Peele, and you got that
I wish.
at the end. Well,
wish.
he's also got that sci-fi show coming soon. Something Motorcraft. Oh, I can't think of the name.
Lover's Craft or something.
There you go.
Lovecraft or something.
Yeah, I had a hairstylist on from that show
cool.
a week or so ago, and she was really cool. So.
Well, I gotta hook you up with this young lady who I executive produced. I financed her short film. It's a sci-fi short. It's called the Black Baptism. I'll send you a screener. And she's here. Yeah, we screened it at the Hayti Heritage Festival. We premiered it there, packed house, and we had a couple more screenings coming up, but COVID canceled the festival. So
I think I was planning to see it at one of those festivals. That's why it sounds so familiar. Oh,
yeah, we produced that. Yeah, my company produced that and everything. And Stephanie Diane Ford is the filmmaker. It's a great project. It's a sci-fi short. It's real cool. So I gotta connect you guys.
Please, because I'll go ahead and let you in on a secret. I've been trying to get as many people that I wouldn't normally be able to get on my show if it wasn't COVID first, but I've been sprinkling in my own friends within them to try to make sure they got the views from people that might actually be able to make some changes and make things happen. I want North Carolina.
But I'm definitely going to hook you up though with the person I was telling you about off air. Once that gets finalized, I hope that because he can promote the screening that we're going to do as well. So we'll set that up once it becomes finalized.
Thank you, Christopher.
That's
and congratulations again. That's exciting. You guys have a date yet or too early to tell?
Yeah, it's too early.
Okay, Plus you got to know when things are open,
Yeah, we don't know what's going on right now. So we might do something just spur of the moment, small in a few months. So we might wait till next year. We'll see. We're just taking it one day at a time right now. I just had to get that proposal out the way. That was taking time. She was always looking at her watch. When is it coming?
Okay, well, I always think of that movie, My Cousin Vinny. She's like, my clock is ticking.
Right.
I didn't have that problem. But anyway, I was more or less, maybe today. Yeah, I got today off. Let's go. Okay. But anyway, well, thanks again for being my guest. I look forward to seeing everything you have going on. And don't forget to send me the link for June 26th. I think you said we're
25th. Yeah.
And so we can all watch together because you're going to be like commentating during it, right?
Oh, we're doing a Q&A afterwards.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm going to do it afterwards. And it's going to be up for a week. And then we're going to do another Q&A the following week with Larry Thomas as well. So we might have a celebrity moderator as well for my Q&A.
Oh, you're calling me a celebrity? I just threw myself in there.
I'm saying that if you want to, we can talk now. I'm saying if you want to get down what we're doing, be a moderator, we can talk about it.
I would love
for future projects,
Absolutely, would love
especially the other screening that we have. I was telling you about. So if you want to be a moderator,
please and thank you.
We'll talk about it.
Okay.
We'll talk about it. We're actually looking for a moderator for that one.
Perfect.
We're looking for one.
Well, now you don't have to look anymore.
All right, cool. All right.
Oh, great. Well, thanks so much again, Christopher, and I'll see you around and we'll talk off air again. All right. Thanks for being so awesome, and thanks for being my guest, and I hope you have a great weekend.
You too. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, it was my pleasure. Have a great night.
You too.
Bye-bye. what a great, every time I talk to him, I always learn so much, and just reiterates the point or the purpose that we definitely have to get out to vote. If your town or where you live is in primaries, because there's still so many different primaries this month, please, please beg your friends, beg your family members to get out to vote, or go ahead and fill out the paperwork to get an absentee ballot so you can mail in your vote by, I think June 9th is the next one, so it might be too late for that since it's June 5th. I don't know, but maybe your mail's fast. Go ahead and make sure you're voting, make sure you're involved, make sure you find out what's going on locally, because if you don't have the right people in office, they're never going to let the laws and legislation that will affect us on a local level, on a daily level through, if you don't have people that are going to speak for you or at least have your interest in heart. So again, thanks for being hanging out with me tonight on the E-Spot. I cannot wait for you guys. Next week is going to be amazing. I'm going to go ahead and give my little teaser. I don't know if you've seen this book, but the author of this book is going to be here next week. He's going to be my guest Tuesday. I am so excited. As you can see, I've already been tabbing different things because there's so many great models that are in part of that, like Veronica Webb, Naomi Campbell, Alec Weck, Roshumba, Beth Ann Hardison, so many different people, like just everyone that's ever modeled that is Black. He has a story about them, telling how their experiences, how they got where they are. Well, he'll be my Tuesday guest. Monday, sorry, I kind of jumped ahead to Tuesday, but Monday I'll have Denise Caldwell, who is a style expert. You've seen her on Dr. Oz, on Good Morning America. She's done lots of morning shows where she's done shown women how to dress for their body type. So she's going to give us some advice now that we're going from COVID to phase 2, or maybe you're still home and want to look super fresh for your Zooms. She's going to give us some advice for that. Then Marcellus Reynolds, Supreme Models. He has been on everything. He's been on every red carpet. I'm pretty sure he was with Joan Rivers a few times I am blanking on the name of the show. Oh my gosh. But you know what I'm talking about, where they would talk about the women and men, their outfits for red carpet, whether or not it was a good look or bad look. He's one of those guys that would share, and he likes to name names as well. So I can't wait for him to be here on Tuesday. And he's got a whole new Instagram initiative where he's helping people learn how to become a model and giving advice for that. So definitely check him out on Instagram. Marcellus, he's got the coolest little Instagram name. It's like Marky Mark, but it's spelled differently because his name is with a Q on there, I do believe. And so he's my Tuesday guest. Wednesday, I have models. Oh no, Wednesday is Hope Noel, who is the owner and creator of Haute Trade, which is an app that you can post your designer clothing that you no longer wear, and you can exchange it with someone else. Like you guys can make trade deals where instead of maybe having a closet full of things that, oh, I've already worn it, I've already been seen it a million times, you can trade it for another one, or even your Louis Vuitton purse or Christian Dior, Chanel, whatever. That's the app for you. So she'll be here Wednesday talking about styling. She also has this initiative that she's doing because so many people have been looting and getting all these name brand products. She doesn't want that to end up being like blood fashions where people are selling those to all these different platforms that do reselling to make sure that those stolen items don't end up being of profit. So she's going to be my Wednesday guest. Then Thursday, I have model and actor. He's been in several fashion weeks. His name is Sergio Devanche. He was in John Wick 3. He's my guest on Thursday. And then Friday, I have singer. Well, she's an opera singer, hip hop opera singer, and I'm not talking Beyonce. This is Charisse Mills. She'll be my guest Friday. So next week is all fashion themed from entertainment side for the fashionistas in your life that may enjoy that. Make sure they know, share it with a friend, share it with some family, let them know what's coming up next week because they're definitely going to love it. Now, you guys have a wonderful weekend. Thank you for hanging out with me tonight, and I will see you again on Monday at 6 o'clock.